Hey, I'm Zen, and welcome to Zen's RPG Reviews. So grab your dice and a drink, and let's roll. Today, I wanted to start a brand new series about the World of Darkness, published by Paradox Entertainment and formerly White Wolf Entertainment. If it does well, you can expect to see a lot more lore videos in the future. In this video, we'll be talking about Vampire the Masquerade and giving a basic overview of the sects and their member clans, the Camarilla, the Sabbat, and the Independents. I'm approaching this series as if the viewer doesn't know anything about the content, so you can expect some simplifications and omissions. I promise I'll satisfy the lore nerds with later videos in the series, but I can't talk about the Archbishop Moncada, Revelations of the Dark Mother, or the Week of Nightmares if the viewer doesn't know what the Sabbat is. So without further ado, let's begin. Now, before we can talk about the sects, we have to go back in times before them, back to the Burning Times, the Inquisition, and ultimately, a revolution of young vampires. Kindred of the 15th century were arrogant. They viewed themselves as gods amongst men. They openly ruled as the monsters they were. This rule ended with the coming of the Inquisition. These humans who wielded the power of God smote the ancient kindred from their thrones. The Inquisitioners led the masses against their feudal lords. The lords sent their children to fight and die for them, while they languished in their opulent castles. The fledglings were destroyed, and their sires merely created new fodder for the Inquisitioners. The neonates resented their masters. They felt discarded and viewed as nothing more than pawns. They resented their place in this feudal society. Their elders ruled them as kings, just as they ruled the mortals. When a mortal king dies, there's a succession, possibly a battle between potential heirs for succession. Vampires don't die naturally. So, how do you advance in a society with rigid castes enforced by undying monsters? Some of these children rose up against their sires. Some even committed the most heinous crime one kindred can inflict upon another: diablerie, the drinking of the victim to the point of not only final death, but the complete consumption of the soul. Some were so bold as to locate the founders of their clans and commit this act upon the slumbering antediluvians, ancient beings that are said to predate the great biblical flood. Some also believe that the antediluvians are the grandchild of the original vampire, Cain. Yes, that Cain, if the stories are to be believed. These kindred wanted to free themselves from the shackles of the tyrannical overlords. They wanted to be free to choose their own destiny. A bloody battle broke out between the two groups that lasted for 7 years. The seven clans of the more traditionally minded kindred banded together to fight back against the onslaught. They formed the Camarilla. The two clans of anarchs who diablerized their clan's founders gathered up the rebels from the clans that had joined the Camarilla and formed the Sabbat. The Camarilla was founded on the ideals of the old ways. These kindred don't believe the ancient legends of Cain or the antediluvians. Such creatures are a myth to scare fledglings. If the antediluvians ever existed, they are long gone and have no influence over anything of the present. The real power is where it has always been: elders who can effectively wield their power in the modern night. Many lessons were learned from the Burning Times and the Anarch Revolt. Kindred, while powerful, are no match for a mob of angry villagers with torches or an inquisitor who wields true faith and intimate knowledge of how to stalk and slay the undying. Kindred must keep their numbers low so as to not attract attention. They must blend in with the mortals. They rule from the shadows. They must avoid being noticed. To be known brings destruction to all. All manner of creatures seek to destroy the kindred: inquisitors who see the kindred as unholy demons, human sorcerers who can bend reality to their will, their motives known only to themselves, often come into conflict with the kindred as they occupy the same spaces, and of course, werewolves, who view the kindred as a plague upon the world. In addition to preventing the growing mortal masses from discovering the existence of vampires, the Camarilla aims to maintain the status quo of kindred society. As such, much of its structure and traditions mirror that of Canaanite society in feudal Europe in the Dark Ages, and places it at odds with the agents of the Sabbat and the Anarchs, both of whom seek to overthrow archaic kindred society. Respect your elders, respect the hierarchy, respect each other's domains. Don't murder each other, and don't draw attention to the kindred. That's what keeps everyone civil. Civility is the thing that separates them from the monsters that dwell within them all. And that's what separates them from the savages who slaughter their elders and who, to this very night, wage war upon them. founded by 7 clans for a common goal: survival. The Bruja, philosophers of old, warrior scholars, and rebels. These kindred are known for their fiery passions and unbridled tempers. They have since left the Camarilla and joined a new anarch movement, fitting as they are largely responsible for the first one. The Gangrel, savages, beasts, and outlaws. Clan Gangrel are known for their unrivaled endurance, savagery in battle, and feral instincts. Nomads who hold closer ties to the wild places than most of their city bound cousins. They are closer to the animal aspect of the beast. They were one of the 7 founding clans of the Camarilla, but became disillusioned with the sect in the final nights, its elders eventually deciding to sever its ties and become an independent clan. The Malkavians, oracles, jesters, and lunatics. Irrevocably insane to the last member, they also possess a supernatural insight. The Clan of the Moon are an enigmatic and deeply disturbed group of Canaanites. Members of the clan have assumed the roles of seers and oracles among kindred and kind, eerie figures bound by strange compulsions and the ability to perceive that the others cannot. They are also notorious pranksters whose jokes range from silly to sadistic. Against all odds, however, the children of Malkov are among the oldest surviving vampiric lineages. They are among the founders of the Camarilla and are widely known as one of its pillars in the modern Knights. The Nosferatu, hideously deformed by the change, these sewer rats excel at stealth and trade in secrets. They are the spy masters of the dead, collecting information and selling it for a dear price. They are also the masters of the underground, living in the sewers for protection. The Toreador, artists, artisans, debutantes, and degenerates. The clan of the Rose is the opposite of the Nosferatu in almost every way. They are responsible for the legends of vampires to seduce and entice their prey with beauty, love, and sensuality. Famous and infamous as a clan of artists and innovators, they are one of the bastions of the Camarilla, as their very survival depends on the facades of civility and grace on which the sect prides itself. The Tremere. These blood sorcerers, having once been a house of mortal magi, created the vampiric condition through alchemy and force of will. In their comparatively little time since their founding, the Warlocks have made incredible inroads within vampiric society and are arguably the most powerful clan in the modern Knights. This is due in no small part to their strict hierarchy, secretive nature, and mastery of thaumaturgy, all of which elicit suspicion, fear, and respect from other Canaanites. The Warlocks stand as a pillar of the Camarilla and are one of its main defenders, despite the fact that they exist almost as a subsect. Some even go as far as to consider themselves the evolution of vampirism, citing their extreme versatility of blood magic and lack of a true clan curse. The Final Knights have many things in store for the Tremere, however, and the more powerful they grow, the more their enemies gather. And in their bid for power, the Tremere have accumulated more enemies than most. The Ventru, Blue Bloods and Warlords. The clan of kings are aptly named, the embodiment of the Camarilla. They rule through domination and adherence to tradition. The Ventru are more likely to be found in positions of power among kindred and kind alike than any other clan of the Camarilla. Princes, CEOs, and wealthy benefactors are all in the Ventru's domain. The Sabbat is a loose organization of kindred who refuse to suffer under the tyranny of their former masters. Unlike the Camarilla, the Sabbat believe in the antediluvians and Cain because they face them and in some cases consume their souls, calling themselves the Sword of Cain because they believe themselves to be the weapon Cain will use to destroy the antediluvians when he returns and the time of Gehenna is upon them. The Sabbat doesn't hold to the traditions of the Camarilla. They believe kindred should be as free as their power will allow them to be as monstrous as they are. Humanity are cattle to be bred and fed upon, the shaft to which the winnow, the wheat of their childer. Many become Sabbat to escape the blood bonds of their Camarilla masters. Others join after finding some grain of evidence of the antediluvian, dispelling the lies of the Camarilla, and still, others are born into it with a ritual mass embrace that instills a savagery in the fledgling vampire, who quite literally wakes up in a mass grave and has to claw their way out among their recently created pack members. Not all survive the ordeal. Those that do are understandably changed by the experience. Driven by a legacy of revolution and a firm belief that ancient beings manipulate their society to its inevitable doom, the Sabbat is a wild card in the modern Knights. They take anything they can wrestle from the Camarilla. Their foe is more organized and more experienced, So the Sabbat utilize guerrilla tactics and packs of bonded neonates or flesh-warped monstrosities to overcome their weaknesses. Only time will tell who claims victory in this secret war amongst the kindred. Founded by two clans and the cast-offs of other clans, the Anti-Tribu as they are known, these kindred have one goal: destroy the ancient creatures who created them. The Lasombra, the Night Clan, are wielders of living shadow and founders of the Sabbat. These kindred are a dark reflection of their venture counterparts. The Lasombra exist for their own success, fighting for personal victories rather than solely for a crown to wear or a throne to sit upon. They believe that might makes right and are willing to sacrifice anything to achieve their goals. A clan that uses spirituality as a tool rather than seeking honest enlightenment. Their fickle loyalties are currently highlighted by half of their clan's defection from the Sabbat. The Zamitzi are a clan of lords and flesh shapers. The Fiends are a sadistic clan of inhuman monsters draped in a thin veneer of pleasantries. If someone were to call a Zamitzi inhuman sadistic, the Zamitzi would probably commend them for their perspicacity and then demonstrate that their mortal definition of sadism was laughably inadequate. The Zamitzi have left the human condition behind gladly and now focus on transcending the limitations of the vampiric state. At a casual glance or a brief conversation, a Zamitzi appears to be one of the more pleasant vampires, polite, intelligent, and inquisitive. They seem to stark contrast to the howling Sabbat mobs, or even the apparently more human Bruja Nosferatu. However, upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that this is merely a mask hiding something alien and monstrous. Panders. Unique to the Sabbat, the Panders aren't a clan, but rather a unified group of clanless kindred. They arose in the aftermath of the third and most recent Sabbat Civil War, during the late 1950s. A clanless vampire known as Joseph Pander united the Keita Tribu Sabbat under his own banner and led them against the moderate faction at the behest of several Kila Sombra and Zamitzi. Impressed with his efforts, the elders of Sabbat rewarded the sect-loyal Panders with their formal recognition, which immediately touched off a powder keg of ill responses from more legitimate clans. In the end, though, the Panders won out, earning recognition time and again through bloodshed and diplomacy. The Anti-Tribu. The word Anti-Tribu literally means anti-tribe, or against the clans. Since philosophical divides are one of the definitions of a bloodline, Anti-Tribu factions are generally described as such. The stereotypical Anti-Tribu bloodline is a branch of a Camarilla clan which has joined the Sabbat. While all 7 Camarilla clans certainly have anti-tribu representation within the Sabbat, the term also applies to factions within 3 independent clans and 1 bloodline, which have joined the Sabbat, and in one case, a branch of one Sabbat clan, the La Sombra, which have joined the Camarilla. The Independents. The Independents are just as their name suggests, independent of any sect affiliation. Some are independent because they choose to be, others because they are forced to be. Today we're only going to cover the existing or former independent clans. Most bloodlines are also independent, but we'll be covering those more in later videos. As I've done with previous entries in this video, I'll be listing the clans as they have historically been viewed and noting any recent sect affiliation changes in the overview. The Banu Hakim, Assassins and Diabolist. Based on their hidden fortress on Mut in the Middle East, they are traditionally seen by Western kindred as dangerous assassins and Diabolists. But in truth, they are guardians, warriors, and scholars who seek to distance themselves from the nightly manipulations of other kindred. Once so feared by kindred, the Camarilla placed a curse upon them, preventing them from consuming kindred vitae. They have since broken the Tremere sorcery, and in modern nights, the Assamites are a member of the Camarilla. The Hecate. The Hecate are not a fully organic clan deriving from a single antediluvian and an uninterrupted bloodline, but are made up of the Giovanni and the remnants of old clan Cappadocian and the related bloodlines, as well as Najaraga. Despite a lack of connection with an antediluvian, together they represent a new, mostly unified clan of death comprising kindred bloodlines who practice necromancy. Much like the Giovanni that it almost entirely subsumes, it is also a family, albeit a much more extended one. The Ministry. Followers of Set, Corruptors, the Clan of Lies. Orthodox Setite belief dictates that Set will one day return to rule or consume the world, and devout Setites prepare the way for his resurrection. To this end, the clan remains independent of the sects of other kindred, and practices with great skill the arts of corruption, deceit, and ancient sorcery. The mission of the followers of Set can be stated in a single word: corruption. They seek to subvert and destroy whatever is good, noble, safe, or beautiful within both kindred and mortal society.
They are plotters without peer, with an unequaled genius for misdirection and temptation. Their favorite weapons include drugs, sex, money, power, and vice in all of its aspects. The Ravnos. Known as wandering tricksters, mystics, and vagabonds, the Ravnos are incurable daredevils who gleefully pursue the art of unliving dangerously. Nobody in the West understood the old Ravnos, and now it is far too late to do so, as some calamity befell the entire clan and wiped out nearly all of them. The remaining few were left without any connection to their true heritage and history, and have been forced to rewrite it themselves. But if they did not wander before, they no longer have any choice but to do so, or else they will meet the same fate as their brethren.
So that was our overview of the sects of Vampire the Masquerade. We really hope you enjoyed it. And if you'd like to see more lore videos, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future content. We're currently working on reviews of two Call of Cthulhu scenarios, The Lightless Beacon and Alone Against the Flames. And of course, this series on VtM Lore. So stay tuned for all those, plus random shorts I release as inspiration strikes me. I'm not sure yet what our release schedule will be since we're still fine tuning the process, but the upload schedule and production quality will definitely improve as we learn and grow as a channel. If you have any ideas for future content, make sure you let us know in the comments below. Finally, I want to sincerely thank all of you who watched to the end. It really helps boost our visibility, which in turn will help us make more of these videos. We appreciate all of the support we're receiving so far and hope we can provide content you'll enjoy. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up and share with anyone you think will enjoy it. And until next time, stay zen.